Friends, we are going to start immediately. This is the 191 Friday group meeting, Lordship. We have a Friday group channel also. We started Friday group in 2015, July 10th. So more than 12,80,000 views are there in our channel. All over world we have USA and Mauritius and Russia also. Recently Google forwarded me a message. Your viewers are in Pakistan and Russia. We felt very happy. Today's topic is legal services under the Legal Services Authority Act 1987. Speaker, our beloved Judge, Hon'ble Supreme Court, Mr. Justice A.S. Lok. We are all grateful to you, sir. Before we start, I will request Apurva will say a few words. You are take Apurva.
A very warm welcome to everyone. Justice Abhay. So I was born on 25 May 1960. He has completed his BSc LLM from University of Bombay. He was enrolled as an advocate on 28th June 1983. He started practicing in Thane District Court in chamber of his father, Srinivas Oak. In 1985 to 86, he has joined the chamber of Shri V.P. Tipnis, a former judge of the Bombay High Court and a former Lok Adalat. Sir appeared in several important matters and public interest litigation. Later, he was elevated as additional judge of the Bombay High Court on 29 August 2003. Sir was also appointed as a permanent judge from 12 November 2005. Later, he took oath as the Chief Justice of High Court of Karnataka on 10th May 2019. Sir is elevated as a judge of Supreme Court of India on 1st August 2021 and is a sitting judge of the Honorable Supreme Court. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, and it gives me an immense pleasure to address this prestigious Friday group. It is indeed remarkable that after rigorously working for a whole week, there are a large number of lawyers who are willing to sit together and discuss legal topics. My mind goes back to my career before 2003, before I was appointed as judge of the Bombay High Court. We also used to have a Friday group in our bar room in Bombay High Court, but the function of the Friday group was to, go to nearby restaurant in Fort area and enjoy snacks. So therefore, it is indeed a great success is achieved by this Friday group. Some of you may feel that why this topic of legal services. I have been part of this institutional judiciary for 40 years, 20 years as judge of various constitutional courts and 20 years as member of the bar. And I found that there is a lot of misconception or lack of knowledge about what is really the concept of legal services. When we talk about legal services, we talk about only providing legal aid to the accused who are languishing in jail, or somebody who is poor, who is helped to file a petition or a litigation in the court of law. There is a lot of misunderstanding about the role played by the authorities under the Legal Services Authorities Act 1987. I remember in 2020, after lockdown was relaxed considerably in the state of Karnataka, a PIL came to us. The issue raised in PIL was very, very peculiar. After lockdown was lifted, many NGOs in the city suddenly noticed that there is sudden increase of children standing at various traffic junctions in the city of Bangalore, and they were actually begging. Sudden increase after the lockdown was lifted. There are economic reasons, social reasons. We know what are those reasons. Sitting in first court, I issued notice to the State Legal Services Authority. I remember there were some interveners appearing in that matter. They asked me a question, sir, what is the role of Legal Service Authority? Why are you issuing notice to a Legal Service Authority? After we issued notice, there are many dates given, but I just want to tell you the outcome and how constructive role can be played by the Legal Services Authority. Eventually, we ended up in passing an order with the help of the local municipal corporation. The order was that the local municipal corporation, with the help of the State Legal Services Authority, will start what are known as signal schools. The concept was the municipal corporation was to use buses which were not useful for public transport, and the buses were converted into classrooms, and those buses were to be parked at various junctions in the city, and effort was made to educate the children. So one of the basic concepts of legal service is to ensure that every citizen gets benefit of his legal rights. Now, for example, for children, what was important was RT Act, Right to Education Act, and Article 21A. One more example, there also there was some criticism of the role played by the Legal Services Authority. In a very prominent city in Karnataka, as we know, almost all municipal authorities in our country are not implementing solid waste management rules of 2016, earlier rules of 2000. So it was the same story about the city, and on a hillock, solid waste was simply dumped, and there was a cloud burst, and as a result, the entire waste went down the hill, and it damaged not only houses but several acres of agricultural lands. It was the Legal Service Authority which took initiative. They filed a writ petition, a PIL in the High Court, and through that PIL we ensured that houses are provided to those whose houses were lost, compensation was paid to those who lost their agricultural lands. So I can give several examples of what legal services really mean. And I must share here that these two initiatives which I talked about were possible only because of my colleague in the Supreme Court, Justice Arvind Kumar, who happened to be executive chairperson of the Karnataka Legal Services Authority. If we look back in the history, after independence, even before Constitution came into force, a thought process started that in some manner legal aid should be made available to poor litigants, and in particular the accused in criminal cases. Interestingly, in early days, the major contribution to this legal aid movement, as we call it, came from very famous father and son combination, Justice N.H. Bhagwati and his illustrious son, Justice P.N. Bhagwati. In 1949, Government of Bombay appointed a committee headed by late Justice N.H. Bhagwati to submit a report on legal aid to the poor persons or persons of limited resources and means and backward classes. And it was very innovative effort made by the committee. Committee submitted a report, and for the first time after independence, Justice Bhagwati's committee suggested that exhaustive legal aid scheme should be formulated at various levels, taluka levels, district level, state level. That committee was incidentally named as Bombay Legal Aid Committee. There were similar efforts in West Bengal and other states. But one very important step really happened in 1958. It was in the form of a report of the Law Commission submitted by late M.C. Setalvad, the first Attorney General of India. Incidentally, he was heading the Law Commission at that time. That report makes very interesting reading. In that report, MC Setalwar says that legal aid is a service that the modern welfare state owes to its citizens. It is a part of the protection of citizens' individuality, and this report makes a recommendation for improving the access to justice, including the establishment of legal aid clinics and making a provision to provide free legal aid. And then there were several steps taken in 1973. There was a committee appointed by Government of India, which was headed by Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer. And in fact, it is that committee which suggested a legislation. It was known as the Committee on Legal Aid. And in fact, that committee recommended setting up of a statutory corporation called National Legal Services Authority. There is a report, that report also talks about idea of establishing Nyaya Panchayats, or we have those Grama Nyayalayas now. And thereafter several steps were taken in different directions. Lok Adalat movement started. It again started in Gujarat and state of Maharashtra. Again, initiative was taken by Justice P.N. Bhagwati. Perhaps till 1987, all of us were part of the legal system. We ignored very important principles incorporated in Article 39A. See, ultimately what Article 39A says that no one should be denied an opportunity to seek justice, and no one should be denied the opportunity of securing justice by reason of economic or other disabilities. But even today, 75 years after the independence, we find that there are large sections of the society who even cannot think of taking recourse to the legal remedies. I remember in 2005 or 2006, I was dealing with assignment of second appeals under section 100 of the CPC. There was a group of lawyers, I remember they presented a paper to me. They had carried out a survey, and I'm sure that survey was not carried out that scientific manner. There may be, the sample was very small. But the survey showed very startling results. The survey showed that those who suffer adverse decree in the first appellate court, out of them, only about 70% files regular second appeals in the High Court. And those who suffer adverse decree in the second appeal, out of them hardly 50 to 55% of the litigants approach the Supreme Court. Of course, this was a survey carried out not by using any scientific method, but still it is a pointer. Fortunately, I was lucky to be associated with High Court Legal Services Committee for a long time, then High Court Legal Services Authority of Bombay High Court and Karnataka High Court. Based on my experience, I can say that even today, large sections of our society are excluded from the legal system for various reasons. In fact, today, we must accept that large section of society silently suffers injustice. In fact, I always feel now, all of you may be aware that now the entire data of our judicial system is on public domain. There is a national judicial data grid, all the high courts, all the district courts have their own websites where all figures are available. Figures of unready cases, figures of cases in which adjournments are granted, everything is available in public domain. There are many institutions, like there is a Vidhi, then there is Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economy in Pune. Now they are conducting studies, they are publishing reports, and they are pointing out to we the judges that how slow we are, or how unsatisfactory is our legal system functioning. But so far nobody has made any attempt to make a survey of how many people do not approach the court of law. I always keep on saying that, of course, there is a serious issue in our legal system of docket explosion, but according to me, the most serious issue is of docket exclusion. Now it is almost 72 years of existence of our constitution. We are not able to achieve the object of having a legal system which promotes justice on the basis of equal opportunities. Even Supreme Court, I mean many of you are aware of course, in so many cases we come across where in criminal appeal we find that a case is made out for acquittal and then suddenly we realize that one of the accused has not even preferred SLP. So we exercise our suo motu powers and we grant relief. As a executive chairperson of the Legal Services Authority of Maharashtra, I had occasion to visit almost all major central jails in the state. Those jail visits were, like education for me. I learned so many things from my jail visits. I remember I went to, I think, Yeroda jail, where Mahatma Ji were detained for a long time, but as one of the biggest central jails. I used to have interaction with the people who were detained there. I met one gentleman there who was in jail undergoing sentence for offence under I think part 1 or part 2 of section 304 of IPC. So I asked him a question out of curiosity: have you filed appeal against the orders of the Sessions Court? The answer was very startling. He said, "Sir, can I talk to you very frankly?" I said, "Of course, I want you to talk to me very frankly." He said, "Sir, I learned 2 things from my co-prisoners. One is, if you go to a senior lawyer, you have to pay the fees which I can't afford. And if I go to legal aid, the lawyer which will be given to me will not be well equipped." And third thing which he said was very startling. He said, "Sir, I have learned that if I file an appeal against conviction, some judges of the High Court will issue suo motu notice of enhancement. So I don't want to take that risk." This is only illustration which I am telling you. It's a great learning experience to go to jail and find out really what is the pathetic condition of those who are in jail. There is one more very serious issue when it comes to legal services. I am going to deal with the wider concept of legal services a little later. That serious issue is that even persons who belong to middle class, they can't afford a litigation. In fact, Supreme Court took initiative a few years back by establishing a society under the Society Registration Act for providing legal services to the middle income group of citizens. I don't know what happened to that society, but Supreme Court on the administrative side had directed all the High Courts to form that society. In fact, Bombay High Court, we had formed the society in 2018. I really don't know personally what happened thereafter. But this is going to be a very serious issue that forget about those who belong to poor strata of society. Those who belong to middle class, they also can't afford litigation. And now I come to the again statutory provisions. In 1987, of course, all of you know that Legal Services Authority Act was enacted, and a huge network of Legal Services Authority at taluka, district, state, and of course national level was created. Apart from that, High Court Legal Services Committees were created, which have the function of rendering legal aid to the poor. Then of course there is Supreme Court Legal Services Committee. Interestingly, there is a provision in the form of section 9A in the Advocates Act, which provides that Bar Council should constitute legal aid committee. I don't know whether Bar Council have constituted it. I don't think that provision has been really implemented. But according to me, the most important provision in Legal Services Authorities Act is section 4, which lays down the functions and duties of National Legal Services Authorities, or Central Authority as they call it. Now, one of the most important functions which is entrusted to National Legal Service Authority is to organize legal aid camps in the rural areas, slums or labor colonies, both for the purposes of educating weaker sections of the society regarding their legal rights and for encouraging the settlement of disputes through Lok Adalats. One more duty is assigned is to take measures for spreading legal literacy and legal awareness and to educate weaker sections of society about their rights, benefits and privileges guaranteed by social welfare legislation. There is one more very important object which actually enjoins all the legal service authorities to take steps by way of social justice litigation with regard to the issues such as consumer protection, environmental protection, matters of special concern to the society. Now, this is one provision which is not implemented. Of course, in Karnataka, I can say that Legal Service Authority filed multiple number of litigations. And I'll tell you how effective the legal service authorities can work. I was heading a bench during COVID in Karnataka High Court, dealing with various issues arising out of COVID. We had to pass very strong orders which were not liked by many, but that apart. The Legal Services Authority, namely the District Legal Service Authority, Taluka Legal Service Authority, we had entrusted them with the job of visiting camps which were set up for migrant workers, because you know thousands and lakhs of migrant workers were sent to camps because they were to be repatriated to their original states, but that could not happen immediately. So in that PIL, we used to act upon the reports submitted by secretaries of the district and Taluka Legal Service Authority, because they were on routine basis, daily they were visiting the camps, they were visiting the slums, and therefore we could get feedback exactly what is happening to the this strata of the society where people living in slums, they did not have food. One of the secretaries of the legal service authorities went to various slums in city of Bangalore, and we could get important feedback. So these are the actual functions of the legal service authority, where actually they are supposed to reach the masses. I can give a number of public interest examples of number of public interest litigations filed by the legal service authorities in various states. One more very serious area where legal service authorities will have to work, in fact all of us will have to work. As I said, I have been a judge for more than 20 years, and I was fortunate to work for legal service authorities. As I said, I visited jails. In fact, for our programs, I had a number of occasions to visit a very famous or infamous slum in Bombay, which is known as Dharavi slum. They call it as the biggest slum area in Asia. One thing which I have realized is that we lack in one thing, that is complete absence of legal literacy in our society. And I must say it with great deal of responsibility that this kind of absence of legal literacy is not confined to poor sections of our society. It is applicable even to educated sections of the society. It applies to even members of the media. And therefore today we have a scenario where we find that whenever a trial courts grant bail or High Court or Supreme Court grants bail, people don't realize the difference between granting bail and enlarging the accused on bail and acquitting the accused. So we see those postings on social media, etc., where a common man or even educated man equates order granting bail as order acquitting a person. And then all those comments are offered, look, this is such a heinous offense and courts are letting off the accused. This happens because of lack of legal literacy. So one of the objects of the legal service authority is that to have massive legal literacy campaign, which is happening, but is not happening to that extent. I'll make a little departure from this. You must have read in on media that Honorable Chief Justice of India has taken initiative to ensure that the judgments of this court are translated into local languages. Same is the effort made to translate the judgments of the High Court into the local languages. See, the idea is not to please anybody. Idea is not to please because some politician will be happy because we translate our judgments into regional languages. The basic concept behind this campaign is the legal literacy. We want to improve and enhance our legal literacy because I'll give you an example. We deliver several judgments in Supreme Court, or for that matter High Courts deliver several judgments dealing with individual liberty. For example, our privacy judgment in Putta Swami's case. Our idea is that there are judgments rendered like on the criminal side. D.K. Basu's case, for example, the common man must know what is the law about, or what is the law, or what is the protection they get from the law when it comes to actions of the police or actions of the state. So the idea is to spread legal awareness, and therefore if judgment of this court or any constitutional court is available in local language, a common man will be able to understand that. And therefore, in fact, we have issued directions to Legal Service Authority that you please, we requested them to forward these judgments to the police academies. For example, if judgment in the case of DK Basu, where guidelines are laid down regarding arrest, if translation in local language is sent to the police academies, it will become part of their training. So that's the idea. The idea is to have really massive legal literacy campaign. Now there is one very interesting feature of what is legal service. As I said, initial idea was legal service means to help a litigant to file his case or to help a litigant to defend his case. But a different experiment started. It started, I believe, in 2017 or 18 in a place called as Rewa in Madhya Pradesh. There, I believe the Chief Justice was Justice Hemant Gupta. A massive legal aid camp was arranged. They called it a legal aid fair. And I received a video clip of that particular event. And we tried to replicate it in Maharashtra. We had two such mega legal aid camps. One is very remote area, Naxalite dominated area near Nagpur, and other in the very backward area in Marathwada region of the state. I must tell you what was the concept of that. The concept was that a common man must get benefit of several welfare schemes, statutory schemes or otherwise welfare schemes which are available, which are made available by the government. For example, there is Sanjay Gandhi Niradhar Yojana. There are schemes for granting free of cost agricultural implements. There are schemes to provide scholarships to children of those families who are below poverty line. There are several schemes. So we thought that the definition of legal services has to be expanded. Ultimately, what is legal service? What is the service which we are supposed to render? If law or a scheme of the government provides that a particular citizen will get a particular facility or a particular benefit, it is the function of the Legal Services Authority to ensure that that common man gets those benefits, gets those facilities. So what was the theme of that legal aid camp, massive legal aid camp? We call it a mega legal aid camp. We put on our paralegal volunteers who are mostly the law students and officials of the Legal Service Authority who are the judges. They, with the help of the local administration, traced the possible beneficiaries who are entitled to government schemes. There was a government scheme where a woman can get a cooking gas free. So many schemes were there. There was one very interesting scheme which we noticed was, pregnant woman, sometimes doctors advise her to undergo that ultrasound test. So if you are below a particular level of income, you are entitled to get that test free. But of course that facility is not available. So our team of paralegal volunteers, they identified the beneficiaries. They worked in tandem with the revenue department officials and other government department officials, Jilla Parishads, Panchayat Samiti, etc. And they ensured that applications are made by those citizens for grant of benefit, and those applications are processed. And we called about some 35,000 citizens in that area. We provided them with food and free transport, and they were actually called to the site of the this mega legal camp, and symbolically the benefits were granted there by either the government officials or the judges. And we had told the government to set up counters where citizens should be given information about the facilities available, what are the schemes available. And one of the greatest learning experience from those camps was that we realized that most of the citizens who are residing in very backward areas, they were never aware about the requirement of having Aadhaar card and PAN card. They were not aware that Aadhaar card and PAN card that will become document of identity. Therefore, we had to set up counters where we accepted the applications for Aadhaar card and PAN card. We had called income tax department and other departments. And so this is really what we call it as a legal service which was extended. And of course, those camps are being replicated everywhere. There are schemes for senior citizens. Most of the senior citizens are not aware. I remember in that particular camp, there were about 25 families were residing in very, very backward area in small huts. All of them could get cooking gas facility. So this is what is expected of the Legal Service Authority. They are supposed to extend the legal services to the common man. In fact, I must share with you a very interesting experience. We have these paralegal volunteers who are mostly the students of the law colleges. There is a function of the Legal Service Authority in Pune city in Maharashtra. I received a phone call from my cell phone by a woman whom I never knew. Not that she was from any backward class of the society. She had a very peculiar issue. She said that I read the speeches rendered by judges of the Bombay High Court about legal services. She had a peculiar problem. I am talking about 2017 when we used to receive those reports that unless you link your bank account with Aadhaar card, your bank account will be deactivated. That was what we were told. So she said that she was handicapped. Her one arm was amputated. And with some help, sitting on a wheelchair, she went to a center where Aadhaar cards, you can apply for Aadhaar cards. Now she was told that you require the impression of all 10 fingers. So she was denied Aadhaar card. So she asked me a question that, so will my bank account will be freezed? So I got in touch with one of the local officials of the Legal Service Authority. They got hold of two bright young students who are paralegal volunteers. I don't know what wonders they worked. Within 3 or 4 days, the officials of the UDI, the authority which gives this Aadhaar card, they went to her residence with the machine, and within 4 days thereafter she got Aadhaar card at her doorsteps. So this is the effect of implementing the objects of the Legal Service Authority. Give you one more example. There was a nuclear power plant set up in a coastal region of Maharashtra, and 2 villages were acquired. And government came out with a novel idea of setting up 2 villages in the same name in a different locality. And therefore houses were built and people were allotted houses. But their grievance was that there was no rehabilitation in true sense. There are no facilities of education, there are no facilities of livelihood. And therefore under the orders of the calling members of the Secretary of the Atomic Energy Department, the state officials, and some of you are not able to convince them. So we requested paralegal volunteers of Maharashtra National Law School in Mumbai to visit 2 villages. We arranged for buses for them. Now we told them, we prepared a questionnaire and we told them what is the real meaning of rehabilitation. It's not only giving them houses. There is something more to it. The students went there, they spent 2 or 3 days there, they prepared questionnaires, they analyzed the entire data with the help of the officials of the Legal Services Authority. And I told the students to prepare a PowerPoint presentation. And we showed that PowerPoint presentation, we told the students to display the PowerPoint presentation in a meeting which was attended by the Secretary of the Atomic Energy Department. And I had decided on several meetings which were not effective. But the PowerPoint presentation made by these young paralegal volunteers was so effective that in the very meeting, the Secretary of the Atomic Energy Department, the Secretary of Revenue Department of Government of Maharashtra, they said, sir, we have understood that there is no real rehabilitation and will ensure that the funds are released. So there are multifarious activities which are conducted by the Legal Service Authorities. One experience of lifetime which I can't forget as chairman of the High Court Legal Services Committee. There was a young woman lawyer who was heading NGO. She came to my chamber and she said, sir, it's a very, very serious case. I said, what happened? She said that one 14 years old girl is a victim of sexual offense and she's in advanced stage of pregnancy. So please help us. So we appointed a legal aid lawyer, a senior lawyer. A petition was filed. High Court constituted bench on a holiday. Then ultimately order was passed permitting abortion. That's not the end of the story. There was a young judicial officer who was secretary of the local taluka legal services committee. So he was very inquisitive. He used to visit the hospital where that girl underwent abortion. He went out of the way. He found out that girl was taking education, and she was picked up by that accused, taken to some other state. Then police brought her back. He ensured that the admission which was granted earlier to the child, that school admission was eventually cancelled. He ensured that that girl is admitted to that school. He took help of some NGOs and ensured that fees are paid, the books are provided. So these are the kinds of activities which are supposed to be carried out by these legal service authorities. These are real legal services. Of course, I am giving you examples. These are really exceptions. We are not doing what we are supposed to do at that large scale, considering the magnitude of population of our country. Of course, there is one area where we have worked well in the sense that we have been arranging large number of Lok Adalats. Of course, there is some criticism from some members of the bar that when you arrange Lok Adalats, it is really for numbers. We publish those figures that on this Saturday, last Saturday there were Lok Adalats, National Lok Adalat is held, and we disposed of some 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs cases. It may be true that to some extent we do it for the sake of numbers. But look at the flip side of it. Accident claims. Let us take case of accident claims. So many accident claims are settled. I know that the accident claims may not be actually physically settled with the persuasion of the members of the panel who form they are members of the panel of Lok Adalats. But the moment we have Lok Adalat and we decide that about 500 cases are to be sent before Lok Adalat, the insurance companies get activated. They hold what we call the pre-Lok Adalat meetings, and then documents are exchanged and they arrive at some kind of a settlement. If you look at the figures of cases which are disposed of in Lok Adalat, you will realize that we are saving so much of valuable time of the courts. In fact, some of the states have taken initiative that these partition suits should be placed before the Lok Adalats, because partition suit, the life of partition suit is perhaps the longest if you compare the other suits. So that is the initiative. Now, one area where we have to really work in terms of rendering legal services is matrimonial disputes. I can see what is happening in our legal system. I am sure that if manner in which matrimonial disputes are taken to court, if this present trend continues, our entire legal system will crumble under the pressure. I'll tell you why. There is one matrimonial dispute. There is a petition for divorce or petition for restoration of conjugal rights. Then there is 498A complaint. Then there is Section 12 DV Act. Then 125 CRPC. And now recent trend is either husband or wife seeks prosecution under the Information Technology Act based on WhatsApp messages which are exchanged. So we have 5, 6, 7, if there is a child, there is a custody petition. 6 or 7 litigations arising out of one matrimonial dispute at grassroots level. And then you can imagine how many revisions, how many petitions under 482, 227 SLPs. So this is really going to affect our system. Therefore, very important step was taken by Bombay High Court, which I must say that was not that successful. Initiative was taken when I think Justice Vijaya Tahir was the executive chairperson to start initiative which was known as Let's Talk. The object was, we went to the police. We told the police that whenever a woman comes to you or a man comes to you to file a complaint or with some grievance arising out of matrimonial dispute, please refer the party to this center which we named as Let's Talk. We employed very trained counselors with the help of Tata Institute of Social Sciences. There are 4 or 5 universities in Mumbai they have their own counseling centers. So we engaged trained counselors there, and we started calling both the parties even before litigation is instituted. And initially result was good. In fact, the effort was that before parties go to matrimonial litigation, because once matrimonial litigation is filed, the bitterness increases with the passage of time. Every day the bitterness increases. So through the medium of this Let's Talk initiative, we ensured that in some cases parties came together. In some cases there are golden handshake, in the sense that parties agreed to dissolve the marriage. We arranged a legal aid lawyer, and petitions were drafted and filed. But however, that could not be that successful, because we had to rely upon the police machinery to send us the cases. But now, as a part of our legal services, we have to do something for this category of litigants. We have to ensure, all of you know, under Commercial Courts Act, there is a provision for compulsory conciliation before a suit is filed, commercial suit is filed. Now, as a part of our legal services which are rendering under Legal Services Authority Act, we have to ensure that we somehow create a machinery which prevents husband and wife from going to the court. I am saying in constructive manner that prevent the husband and wife from going to the court. When I say it, I mean that before they approach the court, there will be a patch up, there will be a settlement which will end the matrimonial dispute. So this is one area where the legal service authorities will have to work very hard in their own way. And I personally believe that we who are the lawyers practicing constitutional courts, we are hardly conversant with what is happening at grassroots level. Therefore, we also will have to change our focus, and we'll have to more and more concentrate on our law students, because they are the ones who are going to work as paralegal volunteers. They perform their duties. In fact, other day I spoke on this subject of legal education. So I gave example to the people who were present there. I said, now look at these moot court competitions conducted by our law schools, especially so-called elite law schools. What are the subjects in moot court competition? Some subject under public international law, company law, then some commercial dispute. Therefore, I told those who are concerned with legal education that please have common man disputes for Lok Adalat. Take a paper book of a criminal appeal, say under 498A or for that matter 302, modify it and give it to the students, conduct the moot court competitions. Let the students know how to read evidence, how to appreciate the evidence. Let the students argue in moot court the dispute arising out of mortgages, dispute between landlord and tenant. The reason which I told them was, then they will know that these are the kinds of disputes which exist in grassroots level. In fact, if we take statistics, maybe this kind of arbitration or commercial litigation may not be even 5% of the total litigation. So we need to expose our law students to this angle of legal services, and we must actually inculcate in them that they have to really think about a common man or litigation in terms of common man's perspective. And if we are able to train our law students to work as paralegal volunteers, and if they become conversant with the problem faced by a common man, they will be able to perform better as a lawyers, apart from rendering legal service. So therefore, to conclude, in 1987 we have begun this, but I must say someday we must make candid assessment of what we have achieved. I can only say, I don't want to put it negatively, I can only say that we have achieved something, but we need to achieve more and more. And the reason is, today we have a scenario where there are a large number of people who don't approach the court of law, and they silently suffer injustice. I always give an example. Now, a popular argument is made everywhere, at all levels, at all platforms, that this 498A of IPC is being misused. But if you go at grassroots level, you will find that those who are really victims of offence under section 498A, They don't approach the police machinery at all for social reasons, for economic reasons, for whatever reasons. So therefore, the need of the hour, which I personally feel as somebody who is part of this institution for 40 years, is to have this start massive legal aid movement or legal services movement, I'll call it. Legal aid is a little bit narrower concept. So need to have a very massive legal literacy and awareness campaign. Because only if we go at the grassroots level and educate people and make them aware about their rights under the law, their duties under the law, their duties under the constitution, then only we'll be able to ensure that there is no docket exclusion and nobody suffers injustice silently. This is what I wanted to place before this August gathering. I think I have taken long time. So I thank for giving me this opportunity, and I hope that the young faces I see, they think about it and they join this legal aid movement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rashid. How much you analyze? We are not aware of this. We know a few things, but the way down to earth you have analyzed, and it's a great inspiration for those who are conscious advocates. We are all grateful. So before that, P.H. Parekh is here, former president of SCI Association. We are grateful. Karpaga Vinayagan sir, former justice and senior advocate. Justice Basan sir here, Bhattacharya sir is here, and a few more. Nagumathu sir also is here. And please, Sindhura, please come and give vote of thanks. Just close it.
Before we move forward, I would like to firstly thank all the seniors who have taken time out of their schedules to attend this. It is my absolute honor and privilege to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Justice Oak on behalf of everyone here, and especially on behalf of Friday Group and on behalf of Sesha sir. Friday Group has always been a guiding light, especially for us younger ones at the bar, to hear different perspectives from legal luminaries and learn as much about our field as we can. It is that much more special to have Justice Oak speak about the main objects and purpose of the Legal Services Authority Act and the best methods to achieve those objects. Justice Oak, your extensive knowledge of the law, coupled with your years of experience on both bar and the bench, has provided us with profound insights into the intricacies of legal services. Even the personal anecdotes make us understand the ground realities and the necessities of legal services. Lordship, the concept of signal schools is something we've never heard. I think that's extremely novel. And also, Lordship's suggestion that moot courts in law colleges should have common man problems, including Lok Adalat proceedings, that hits at the grassroots levels, and that is very well taken, Lordship. With your Lordship's discussion today, we are also made aware of our responsibility in contributing towards increasing legal literacy and awareness towards whatever extent we can. As Lordship has mentioned, many branches of litigation do require higher effort of communication within legal services rather than constant filing of counterblast applications. Justice Oak, we are truly fortunate to have had the opportunity to learn from you. We look forward to the possibility of future interactions and continued guidance under your wing. Thank you very much.
Lordship, let us give a standing ovation to Lordship. We are all grateful. Your autograph and next page will take here.
Right afterwards.
Yes, I first take. That's a page.
Right?
Yeah.
Right, separately.
We can circulate. We can have a cup of tea, Lordship. Okay, sir.